Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, the best place for all things sewing. I'm Katrina, and today we are going to be sewing the Key West tank. It is one of our free patterns at newhorizonsdesigns.com, and it comes in women's and children's sizes. I'll link the pattern as well as our partner blog with all of the information down below. Let's get started. When picking your fabric for your Key West tank, you'll want to pick something with at least 35% stretch and light to mid-weight knits. Cotton lycra, poly blends, jersey are some good ones, and we have a full list of recommendations in our pattern. For your band and binding, you'll want a fabric with at least 50% stretch and good recovery. As far as options go, you have a standard back or a racer back option, a crop top length, the standard swingy flowy option, and then we added a slim fit option as well. That option is not in the pattern because it was added later, but all of the options are sewn the same way, so not to worry. Before we cut our fabric, we'll need to decide which options we're going to do. When you're looking at your back bodice piece, you'll have a standard back option and the racer back option, and 3 options for fit. This red is the crop top line, the purple is your standard, more flowy option, and the green is our updated slim fit version. The slim fit was added later, so it is not in the directions, but it will be sewn the same way as our other options. You will cut one back bodice piece on the fold, as well as your front bodice piece on the fold as well. For the armholes, there is 2 binding pieces. You'll want to choose the one that goes with the option that you cut out, the racer back or the standard. The racer back is longer, as you can see here, so you don't want to get those 2 mixed up. On our binding pieces, there is a clean finish cut line, which is the skinnier of the 2, and the standard band cut line, which is the wider option. So you'll need to decide if you want to do clean finish or standard bands, and you'll cut 2 of your arm binding pieces on the fold and 1 neck binding piece on the fold. And again, remember, the skinnier is for the clean finish binding and the wider option is for standard bands. If you are adding the pocket, you'll also need to cut out 1 pocket piece. All right, let's get sewing. The first thing you'll want to do is get your back bodice piece and lay it right sides up. And then with your front bodice piece, you're going to lay it right side together, lining up your shoulder seams with your back bodice. Once you get those clipped together, you'll want to go over to your sewing machine with a stretch stitch or your serger and stitch along your shoulder seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Go ahead and set your bodice aside for just a second, and we're going to work on the neckband. Take your neckband piece and we're going to fold it lengthwise, right sides together. And we're going to go over to the machine and stitch along this short end with a 3/8 seam allowance. Now we're going to fold our neckband wrong sides together and we're gonna find the quarter points on our neckband. It's always a good idea to press your neckband. It helps things stay lined up and gives you a clean finish. Now back with our bodice piece, you're gonna mark the center front and the center back. From there, if you line up those points, you'll be able to find the quarter point. It's not at the shoulder seam, so don't make that mistake and line up your neckband with your shoulder seam. So if you line them up, it's a couple inches in front of the shoulder seams. Now that you have your quarter points on your neckline and on your neckband, we're gonna line those up. I always like to mark the back bodice with a blue clip, and so that way I don't accidentally put the seam from my neckband onto the front of my shirt. Ask me why I do that, because I have made that mistake before. Now that you have your quarter points lined up on your neckband and on your bodice, you're gonna need to stretch your neckband in place. Do not stretch your bodice piece though. That will cause a wavy neckline. And it's always a good idea to go in and add more clips in between your quarter points. All right, now that our neckband is in place, we're gonna go over to our sewing machine or serger and stitch in place. Be careful not to stretch your bodice, only your neckband. All right, now our neckband is in place. If you're using a serger, you'll want to tuck your serger tails in. I like to use what's called a knit picker. It's a little tool, only a few dollars on Amazon, that has a little hook on the end, and you can use it to go in your stitches, and you can hook your serger tails on and pull it through really easily. And then just clip off the extra. If you're doing the clean finish binding, you'll attach it the same way that I just did the bands, except now you're gonna fold your binding piece to the wrong side of your garment, press and pin it in place, and then you're going to top stitch all the way around the neckline, and that will give you your clean finish look. Okay, the next step is to sew the side seams. So you're gonna lay your bodice with the back bodice right side up again, and you're gonna lay the front bodice piece right side down on top of your back bodice and line up these edges and clip or pin in place. All right, now we are gonna go over to our sewing machine and stitch the side seams in place, again with a 3/8 seam allowance. If you're getting value from this content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Okay, now we're gonna be attaching the armbands. You're gonna find the quarter points on your armband. Start with the side seam, and you're gonna line your fabric up, and that's how you find your halfway point. It is not at the shoulder seam. For the racerback version, it's slightly behind, it's a couple inches behind your side seam. And then you can match up those points and find your quarter points on the front bodice and back bodice. So we're gonna attach our armbands the same way we did our neckband. You'll take your armband pieces and fold them right side together and sew along that short end. And then you'll fold them together, wrong sides together, widthwise, and mark your quarter points. After you do that, you'll take those points and match them up with your armhole. Go ahead and add additional clips or pins in between your quarter points, and then we'll go over to our machine and stitch those armbands in place. Make sure when you're stretching your armband, do not stretch your bodice. And we're going to repeat with the other side. All right, now that our armbands are in place, we're going to go ahead and hem. The Key West tank has a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we're going to take the bottom of our bodice and fold it to the wrong sides 1/2 inch. You're going to do this all the way around. Make sure you press it in place. That'll give you a clean hemline. And go over to your sewing machine, or if you have a cover stitch, and stitch that in place. After you hem, go ahead and turn it right side out and admire your new Key West tank. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.